be good to go. Alright, just make sure that everything else is closed, so... Alright. Don't have not done, but now, but... Alright. Alright. I should probably refresh that. Refresh. Okay, here we go. And here we go.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every...
Alright. So this is this, in my opinion, is all a philosophical game with a lot of philosophical concepts packed in here. I have my own thoughts on each one of them, and I have to I'm gonna go through them when I see them. So, for example, this one right here. This one seems to be on autopilot. They are on autopilot, like someone who's living most of their life on autopilot. Some people are really happy about just having enough structure, enough just being told like what to do and things like that. But they're doing repetitive tasks, but they're all they are still on autopilot. They do the same thing every single day. Every single days becomes weeks, weeks becomes months, months becomes years, years become decades. Oops.
Yeah. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
So everyone has their own things that they're fulfilling. There's something, each one of these, like, because it's so jam-packed, they have to do switchbacks, like doing certain, going into certain topics, trailing off, going into another ones. For example, this one right here, I believe is, going into, yeah, I think they're, in this specific case, it was talking about like how some people like find these types, like working is fulfilling in certain, especially if you feel it's meaningful. If you don't feel it's meaningful, then, or if you don't enjoy it, then of course you're not gonna, it would be quote unquote soul rendering. But for other people, that might be just fine. Like, because that's the job they want to do, and they might not be in it for the job itself. They might be in it for the people, they might be in it for the, like, money, there's all so many different ways of, like, actually, money is a little, like, might not be, they wouldn't be there that long because, well, maybe some people. Anyway, some people will find it fulfilling, some people won't.
And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
And this is where it's, this is also going into, I think it was also referencing change of like being repetitive, being in the same thing. And then something drastic happens and now, like, what are you going to do after you now know about this, of once something changes and like it's kind of uncomfortable change, or like it's you're kind of forced into it, then yeah, it becomes a it becomes a what's it called, due to the lack of like, because you're forced to change, it's depending on your like experiences, you're gonna do certain types of things, but we all have to find some ways to deal with change, and there's so many. I guess this might be a game about a sudden change and what you would do in that scenario. Anyway.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
And that's because there's fight, flight, and then freeze. When you're so overwhelmed, you stop. So if this is a game about change, then yes, it's like you would be shocked for a certain time. After a certain moment, now it's time to figure out what is going, like what are you going to do next? What is the next thing?
But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
And let's try.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure.
And this is what happens when you are stuck in a situation where you try to move. Like, you don't move on. You just try to keep doing the same thing.
What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that.
And it seems like they're going to not taking risks in this scenario.
No, this couldn't go any way except badly.
But just because you don't want to take risks, you don't want to try. And yes, some risks are bad, but there are some good risks too. Which is why before something like this type of thing happens, you should learn more skills and learn more about other things so that nothing happens like this. Like, so you're not caught unprepared. You have a path forward.
The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me.
And this is like, the nothing will happen, like nothing bad will happen even if it stays the same. And you might be right, but are you... The thing about fate is, which you are now relying on fate at this point, when you don't understand, or if you don't look outside, like take risks and look around, then this, like, for fate, fate isn't the less you understand, the more fate holds you. The more you understand, the less fates you're held in fate's web. And because of that, like, so, and I'm sure everyone has like, oh, but there's no such thing as fate, destiny. Okay, let's go back, and I'll give you something from something I've learned. A more realistic version of fate. Well, realism, I should say. Without the need for the fates, or like divine fates, or maybe there are, maybe there aren't. That's not my place to know. Fate, as it can be looked at, is how I look at it is genetics plus the past genetics plus past experiences plus thoughts of the future plus the current situation equals the next syllable, the next breath, next word, next thought, next action. So in a sense, like, since everyone is born tied by fate, the more we understand, the less fate holds us. But if we never understand, or never get the opportunity to understand, the more why. And just because fate, like, because we don't, there's no true choice in the world. Why would we, if there's no such thing as true choice in the world, why would we get mad at others who would have done the same exact thing as you? Well, you would have done the same exact thing as them if your souls were switched at birth. And whether that's, the more we understand, the less, again, like, but in a different sense, the more we understand, the more we can change the future for the better. It's all about I'll go into another saying that I have. How can we possibly understand the web from our tangled point of view? The more we understand, the less tangled we are, and the more we can begin to understand. Anyway, let's continue.
In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come.
And this is where I think some people do have the, like, answers might come eventually, but you at that point would have wasted so much time, maybe most of your life, not being able to, not knowing, and you might again never find that answer. And because you never found that answer, you're still waiting for something to happen that may or may not ever come. Again, leaving it to fate. When if you were able to understand earlier, you would have been, the more, if you had tried to understand earlier, you'd have came to a conclusion, and whatever happened, you would have at least might have had some closure. Now, at this, so again, you can either leave it up to fate, whether you get closure or not, or just not understand, or try to understand so that you don't have to rely on fate.
Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
And even if, going back to it might not have been an answer you wanted to hear, or it might have, like, if you had been able to talk to them, they would have, to someone, you would have been able to heal, you would have been able to help them so that you would have been able to when you rely on fate, you don't know when that answer, like, if that answer is gonna be good or not. Most likely you won't. And most of the time it could have changed until it can't. And waiting for the answer isn't always the right answer. Unless you want to feel the pain of whatever consequences of waiting are.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
So this is, I guess this might just be the beginning stages of something is wrong, like something's weird's happening. If you decide to go in and take a look, something weird's happening, but it's time to, you are able to take a look. And, sorry. As you leave your comfort zone, which I guess the room would be a metaphor for a comfort zone, it then becomes a you first find first find it a little bit weird, and then enough to leave the comfort zone. And for the other people, for some people, they stay in their comfort zone. They never leave. But this is the, like, some people stay in the next stage of, like, they know something's wrong, but they don't, like, they're trying to find more information or something of, like, and some people can just go, like, just need a vague, yeah, this is weird, let's go check to somewhere else. Some people want to investigate even further. I think that's where it's going with this. And I did watch some YouTube videos on this, so.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
No, I'm doing this for the... because this is, I think, another piece of the, maybe, I think this is another philosophical thing. If I remember correctly.
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
And there is the fact that there's some people this is, I think, they might have heard of they might have looked at the achievement and said, like, oh, I can just easily do this. They do 5 clicks and then they realize, oh, there's more, and they might just leave. And the more they add to this, the more, like, the more it becomes obnoxious, the more it becomes like, is it really worth it? Like, yes, 5 clicks probably wasn't worth it, but then there's going too far on, like, making things, there's undervalue and then overvaluing, like is it worth doing all of this in order to get the achievement?
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause.
And there might be a glorification of going into this, like, of doing something that's really wasn't, like, that big of a thing. Like, it's now just a random achievement that you were going to get, but now it's become some sort of noble cause. You're now having to do more effort in order to something you probably, like, you don't really care for after a certain point.
Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
And now, like, there's added more and more to this, and it becomes a, yeah, it becomes a, like, I'm only doing this for achievement. Maybe I want to, like, or you might be doing it for lore at this point, but for the most part, it had, in the beginning, I think it was for the achievements, and it was for the achievements, and so the 100%, like, some people wanted an easy 100%, some people are just like, and they have to get the 100% because of either an OCD or other maybe dare or other types of factors. So I think that these are. I want to go through all of these because I might gain a little bit more insight into myself. Yeah, as well.
No. Ooh, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something.
Again, starting to glorify something that might have like that wasn't like once you've it's almost becoming a chore at some point, and I'm not at this point, but it's most people would start seeing like, yeah, this is becoming a chore, like I don't really care for it anymore, but I might do it, I might not.
It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
So you're doing, like, you're now having to run all over the place for a single achievement that I don't even think has a lot of value, if I remember right. So, other than, yeah, so. Where was the door again? 417.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
So, yeah, you can see, like, you're now running, like, something that should have lasted only, like, yeah, a minute at most, is now becoming a few minutes. Actually, which one was it again? I think it was 46. Excuse me. Sorry. Ooh, excuse me. Nope, that's not the right one. Just a little distracted. Oopsie daisy. Let's turn 427. Wait a minute.
Now, back to door number 437.
Oh, I guess I was wrong. Alright. 437.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
And it's starting to get ridiculous for just a small little thing that most people have stopped caring for.
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
You're now doing crazy things to do jumping hoops and doing something that really doesn't matter too much to most people. I mean, it matters a little bit to other people, but I think it would annoy them at some point. Other than, like, at some point. Depends on how much they really want the, well, if it's their first time or not.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416 was...
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again! Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430!
And now we're returned for full circle.
Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
I think they're like, the end, it was, the achievement was 5 clicks, but you had, but it wasn't the beginning of 5 clicks. It was a long list of things that you didn't know you had to do for those in order to activate be able to do that one achievement. And you had to return a full circle in order to do that. Yeah, so some people that's fine, some people that kind of annoys them. All right. So
when Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
and this is where to so after you're after you just went after you moved out of your comfort zone and realized that something is wrong, now you've come to 2 choices. There's finding out what happened to all of that, to everyone, and the weirdness. And then there's moving on. So there's probably much more than that. It just, I mean, we already got into a little bit of some, like, in a sense, some of those, like, the achievement was a distraction, in a sense. It was, but, and a few other things else that I did might have been considered distractions, but they also play another piece. They're another piece of the puzzle. Anyway, we're going on the left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
And this is where, yes, something's really off. Is something definitely happened that was wrong. And now it's you're now going higher up to figure out what's going on, and in this path, although I will is there anything? There's probably something in here. Maybe Cabal, but I forget what Cabal is. Get Chris out of the broom closet. There also, I think it shows in this, like, staying in here a little bit longer, you see that there's more to it that's wrong. Like, please keep the targets on topic of something. That's weird. Why is that erased? There's Cabal, and let's see. I think you like guest board. All right. Okay, so anyway, let's see. Should I do the broom closet this time? Yeah, I'm not sure how much I'll get the chance for.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
And I think this is a I think this is more of an act of defiance. Maybe. I guess a futile act of defiance. Maybe it's not. I still need to. No, it might not be. It might be a. You get stuck in it. Something that looks mundane. No, it looks out of place, but should be there. It looks out of place, but should be there. And you keep searching and searching this one thing. I think that's where they're going with this.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
And that might be the maybe they are taking time to reflect. Oh, there's also the fact that it was an act of defiance. Well, it becomes an act of defiance. Something you don't understand, maybe? I don't know. Not at this point. This might have just been...
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I think in the beginning it was a like it's should be there but is out of place. We're unique. So you go in and even if you don't do anything, it's just like, well, something's gonna happen. There's no logical reason for why. You just think something's gonna happen. In a sense, there is, but that might just be because of time you're spending in some place that's like everyone's like, "Why are you over here?" Maybe that's it. I don't know. Also, in the first, since this was in the first game, it might have also became like kind of like a joke too of like, I'm just gonna milk, like, I think it might be, it's some of it might be filler too.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out.
Yes, that is true. However, there's also the fact that sometimes things that are left unsaid that are they're in place but not also not like they're out of place, in the correct position but out of place, supposed to be there but out of place. It then, you find it weird and it becomes an like a plot place of interest.
But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
And also a deviation of, when mentioning story, it becomes a it does become a when you're on this then might be referencing a conversation of like you're leading down, trying to lead someone down, like explain something to them, either tell a story or something else, and then they pick 2 points that are related but don't mean anything and are now going off on a tangent on that. Maybe? Yeah. This one's a little bit harder to...
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
And this might be, wait. That pink text had a 1 on it. Why? Right. I'm looking for that. Maybe it's nothing, but just in case, let's just put a... Wait. Was that even 1x, like smiley face, or was that 1xd? Well, I guess we'll have to look into that later. Maybe we'll find it, but maybe we won't. Anyway, got a little sidetracked. And I forgot exactly what we were talking about.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family
Okay, that was what I was gonna get into. Someone was talking about their story or their experience, and now someone stopped listening, and they're on their own little path, which is now frustrating to the person telling the story. And now they're lashing out a little bit.
connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
And the more frustrated and annoyed they are, the more willing they are to attack them for, like, maybe it was a very important thing that they might have spent months, years making this story. Or it was like spent hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, millions of dollars on a trip that they just went perfectly, or just had to spend on, like, saved so much for this trip. It meant so much, and now you are kind of derailing it on something that really didn't matter to them, and now they're going to attack you because, well, of course they think that you're, even if you didn't mean to, it's maybe you do mean to, maybe you don't, it doesn't really matter at this point, but it feels like an attack. So when you feel attacked, most people, like, unless they're understanding, they're going to lash out or attack back. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, maybe not in a few months, maybe a year or more. And because it might have really meant something to them, and they haven't finished, like, they felt really hurt, and depending on how hurt, they might not forgive you until you, like, you apologize, and second, you make sure that like, everything's okay, like, and, like, make it up to them. Or they forgive you on their own, which, again, you're leaving that up to fate. First try to understand, in order to not, like, no one likes to be attacked, but I'm not saying that you should attack people, it's just, yeah, it's a complicated thing, but it's only when we understand that we can move forward.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to...
And there's also going into this, now it goes into context of, like, you don't know what's going on the side, and so people come to their own conclusions, and whether those conclusions are right or not, they might be half right, they might not be even remotely right. For example, what is water? Well, everyone will have a different saying and answer to that question. Just because I didn't give the context of what I'm at, like, of when I'm asking who, like, when I say what is water. Well, to the survivalists, that is the lifeblood. To the to the chemists, it's hydrogen and oxygen. They might go a little bit more in depth or not, it doesn't matter. Some people will say, well, it's a word, or some people will say so many different things. But I didn't give context, so how can you possibly know what I ask when I say, what is water?
Sure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities.
And this is because we came to a conclusion, maybe a wrong, well, probably in this case very wrong, because there's mostly alive. I mean, maybe there's a off chance that it did happen. Hopefully not. I hope that didn't happen. But yeah, it becomes like, when we come to our own conclusions, and because the narrator doesn't have enough context. It doesn't have enough context, and so they have to come to their own conclusions. After that, they act on said conclusions. whether they should or not, that's, I mean, if someone did die and someone's nearby, yes, you should definitely do that. You should help like, or not die, but like, or having a heart attack or something like that. They should call out. That's a good thing. It's just that most times it isn't an injury. In this scenario, it isn't an injury, or it isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Because maybe they were AFK. They went in here, someone decided to talk to them, and they had to do something and forgot to pause the game. Maybe they had to go to the bathroom. Maybe their pet was gnawing at something or messing with something. Maybe a kid in the background needed help. The narrator didn't know, and there's more than one answer to that question of why are they in this room? Or they might have just been here to mess with the narrator. There's that too.
It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure...
So, and that's going into a different thing of... the going on to talking to the next person. Like, so, like, I guess they're trying to say, and I might be wrong, but they might be trying to explain about the, they might be trying to talk about the, actually, hang on, I need to double check something. Hopefully I didn't screw up the timing on this. No, I have an hour. Okay, good. I forgot to mention the place, so... Sorry about this. Yeah. Right. Okay.
They understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the
So, and this becomes a so they usually you wouldn't ask that someone to do like this type of thing, especially if someone had died. I'm not sure where the switch in this one is. Or maybe this is devolving of like they've stopped caring. I don't know. Since they have to cram so much into each of these, I think that's where they're going with this one. Anyway.
and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
So yeah, there's irony and like insightful but ironic as well. So yes, it is a philosophical game. If you Markiplier, while watching Markiplier, I think it was at 4:30. It was in the new like it was. I'll look it up later. And add that to the image a screenshot I took of it. Anyway. But. Actually, I'm not sure it is. Yeah, well.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
And that's like maybe the again, there's context of like you don't really know what's going on. Like you just know that they stopped moving and they start moving again. Again, they might have been AFK. They forgot to pause and like because they had walked out and then they came back and now they're suddenly wondering, okay, what happened? This is weird. Why am I getting? Why is someone talking like? Why are they talking like that? People don't know. So they only have a limited sort of amount of information, and as we also have a limited amount of information, but we can know more as we go understand more. And we're going back in.
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
And this is the I think when they've given up at some point of when you go back in, they gave up. um like they came to a conclusion, even though it might be a going back to going in so that you don't have, like, because you're annoyed by being attacked, or like act of a defiance or something. I don't know. Not trying to. Not all of them are like, I don't have all of them, but there are some that are kind of major. So.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Actually, I'm not sure if people wait on here. I'll give it a few seconds. All right. Actually, I wish I could zoom, but I'm sure that has something. But this is another, like, alright, so. And this is the, this is the point of when, like, you can go try to find the truth, or you can run away. There's, well, since you can't go backwards, you have to have a different way of running away.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
And that's the fears creeping in, and like you want to ask, but if everything was okay and you didn't, maybe it was, but sometimes you can ask for, well, most times you can ask. Depends on the situation, of course. But letting your worries cover, like, if you're the more you understand, the less you have to, the more you like have an accurate amount of worry. You don't want to be too worried, but you also don't want to have a paralyzing fear of worry so much so that you don't know what's, like, because that can lead to different problems.
He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Yeah, and that's that is where this kind of comes into play of, like, there are a lot of worries of worries of getting fired, like worries of like something bad is gonna happen, when there might not be it's good to understand, like, there's some things you definitely can't understand now, and maybe you'll never will, but you can always try to understand. Like, the more you understand beforehand of different things, the more you'll be able to catch the thing. The more you'll be able to catch problems that the more you understand like skills and different types of learning different types of things, the more you have the option of like you won't miss certain things and you will be able to understand them like, and it gives context to things in the future that you might have missed, like if you hadn't found this one specific thing. And because you are trying to
All because he believed everyone had vanished.
and this is the yes, it sounds weird to all the to anyone who randomly heard people had vanished, but like it not confronting, but just trying to understand what's going on isn't like understanding doesn't actually, now I'm getting a different thought of so sorry, I was a lot of I heard I had a thought of people mentioning that curiosity killed the cat, but that's not actually the full quote. I was just looking up to get the correct quote. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So so and yeah, so let's move on to next, because I forgot where I was.
His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
And that's where it's like you have self-denial of certain things, and you start to like be worried so much that like, no, it can't possibly be, and oh, I must be the crazy one. I'm not saying that this, well, this wasn't a very old game, so there wasn't a lot. I don't think there was, so there might definitely be a something you might have to talk to a doctor for, but that's not the point of this and so you find a lot of weird connections, and you start to, it can lead into it can lead in to certain areas. I'm not gonna say that yes it will or no it won't. That's not the point of it, and we all have our own thoughts on certain types of things. Not denying, but I'm also not. Anyway.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
And this is where it's I guess it could be considered daydreaming, all the daydreaming for the all day, but no, I know that's not what it is. What am I talking about? I need to really exercise my short-term memory again. And so so dreaming while you're awake, which I'm sure some people might do. I'm not judging them for that, because they probably can't. It might be an outlet, or it might be just something their subconscious is doing and they're not wanting it to happen. Because just as you can daydream, you can have nightmares during the day. Yeah, so
he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it but
so maybe the narrator in this context is supposed to be like conscious and the and the body is like the not body but when you when the consciousness keeps talking to you and telling you to do things over and over and over again, it does become, well, that's actually strange. Why is why do I hear voices in my head and things like that? But just because there are the people that have crew members in their heads, they might be I'm not a doctor or know too much about this, only from little experience that I have, not being able to have mental images. So the people keep saying the devil on your shoulder, the angel on your shoulder. Well, they might just be the one in the same of a crew member of yours. Like, think of yourself as the captain of your ship. The body of the ship, you, the captain. Well, if you don't know what the crew is doing, and the crew, if from what I can tell, is, and just take it with a grain of salt at this point, is part of, they're made up of memories of core memories that might have become twisted, or maybe they haven't, and you need to work through them. But they might, the devils on your shoulders might be trying to punish you for something that you may or may not have done, and it's especially if they think that you are at fault when that you couldn't possibly do something. You have to talk through them and like try to make sure that you work through the entire memory. And I can take with a grain of salt. They do dissolve. Oh, not dissolve, but lose the ego and might return to the captain of the ship. But so I am more of the opinion of I actually tried to start talking to them because I was thinking of an inner child, and I wanted to not just accept, but also talk with my inner child. And I didn't realize how many there were. And I also, due to how I did it, I have some lingering effects, which I can fix. I now know that I have to fix them, and that's gonna. You probably can tell that I'm kind of short. My memory is kind of short, so I need to work on that a little bit more. It's much better than what it was. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought. So,
particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
I will also mention that the impulses, like, so there's the inner child, but then there's also the ship itself. The ship also should get, like, you can tell what the ship wants by impulses. Like, you feel the impulse to do something, and that stemmed from a memory that might need to be healed. And at least my crew was stuck. Again, that might be because of that might have just been due to the fact that I had I have, like, anesthesia, was it? Whatever, no mental images. So they probably can't see out here. So they were stuck in 2004. Not realizing that it was too late. Anyway. Let's move on.
The truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
And this is where it's and this is where it's yes, you still have obligations to do in the outside world, but it's I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm also getting distracted with other things. I need to switch back to here. Alright.
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
This is, I guess, waking up to the fact that you might need some help, or that you're daydreaming while you're awake. I think that's where this is going.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal.
And I don't think I can do. Now that I'm looking at all of these again, I wasn't even first doing it. I wasn't even realizing that this might be where this was going with all of this. But after meeting with a few people and doing looking into a few things, I can see where this might be going. And I don't have enough I don't know enough to be able to describe what I think is like. I can just watch. I can't give comment, I don't think.
I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
And this is, I think, a switch to a different concept. I think I'm more comfortable, like, and I know more. I think I know where this is like heading.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few...
And if I remember right, I don't think they did go call that ambulance after that.
brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like.
And that's not really correct, because everyone is unique in their way, and they all have their... You can't tell that something's wrong unless, like, it's not obvious until it's past a certain point. You can pick up, if you know someone well enough, you can pick up on signs of something going wrong and that they are leading down to destruction, but you have to be there for them. Otherwise, they're going to... I'm not saying that everyone needs to, like, there's different ways of helping people, and sometimes and you may not want to talk with them. I'm not. That is your choice. I'm not. That's. I have no idea the situation, and that again, I don't have the context. I can only give some personal philosophies and more of a look into of like what you might what yeah anyway, at the very least I will say two things from my mindset on this that are kind of related. In a sense, this is the like if you like them enough, well, if you don't, I'm sorry, if you like them and you want to help them, first don't you talking with them and letting them talk. You have to let them talk, and do things that like they're the do things in order to help them, because like you don't, even if you can't physically do anything, giving a path and giving people enough yes, sometimes silence is needed, but if you have enough, when you understand enough, like yes, there's like you don't want to give false words or exaggerated words. Anything exaggerated becomes false, and then everything you say becomes false, depending on the severity. And so only say the truths that you see and you can prove. And then if at the very least try to give a path so that they can move forward. Otherwise, of course they're gonna keep falling. They don't see the path. And when you don't see the path, they might not be here anymore. And because of that, you always try to help people that you can, even if they hurt you to the point that you don't want to help them, I'm not going to like, first, there's no judgment on my part, because I don't know your situation, nor would I judge after I knew. I wouldn't judge either, because I don't know at all the context, and only after, like, I will only say for the people that hurt you, but you just want them to leave, but you might at the very least say goodbye. The only reason I say that is because if even if you don't care about them at this current time, you might find out later of why, and you might have second thoughts, you might not, and that's okay. But goodbye is the word with the most pain in it. But it hurts more with it gone left unsaid. And especially if you never get the option to say that. It always end things on a positive note as well, even if you don't care for it. Because, again, you want the last thing you know of them to be happy. Happy moment. Of course, that does. There are certain contexts where that works and some that don't. But anyway.
And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal.
And that's another thing. What is, like, normal? Like, it's the same thing about common sense. Common sense is, like, until you think about it, it's not common sense until you think about it. And once you think about it, oh yeah, it is common sense. Why didn't I think of it? Well, because you didn't put it's even an obvious thing, like some other people might need to give this type of connection.
I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
And that's another thing about fate as well, of like the less we understand, like, yeah, it just, actually, if I remember right, there's, oh, well, whatever. I think they had, no, whatever. So it becomes a we all believe ourselves to be untangled, but until we understand, we can't. Again, how can we possibly understand everything from our own tangled point of view? Especially if at certain angles it looks like that we're completely free. but it doesn't mean that we are. Only when we understand can we become free. We're still shackled by the past, but the thoughts of the we can make our lives better just by giving ourselves new experiences, not just better, but also good learning opportunities. And yeah.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career.
And that's where it's getting into you're not, like, if you don't have a plan, then yes, that does become a like you're putting all the eggs in one basket, and but learning new skills not only helps you learn other things, it also helps you not only in this case, but like with your own work, because you might be able to know certain things that no one else is thinking about. But then it also goes into, like, if you get fired or if you get laid off for whatever reason, or like they had a cat cut or some other reason, you now have a backup. You now have a backup because you learned something, and you on your free time, and yeah.
And by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only...
So she didn't even call the ambulance.
A moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Alright, well, that is one ending down. I actually have to go. Meant to do this much earlier, but yeah, it just took a little bit of time. I had to reset my computer or for me to be able to do this. Couldn't even use my laptop. It's that bad. Oh well. I kind of doubt anyone's gonna watch, but if you did, well, I hope it was. If you watch the YouTube video, I hope it looks. I hope it's enjoyable, or at least interesting. But for now, I have to go, so until our paths meet again.